called on friends in high places, and most answered the call.
People that knew us best were your major companies in Atlanta. We actually signed up the top 10 companies in Atlanta to be corporate members. And the fact that Bell South, Delta, Cox, Coca-Cola, etc. would want to be a part of it, well, then it was easier to attract some of the national companies.
The only way you can join Eastlake is as a corporate member. So we have currently 84 corporate members. Very strong membership, really a cross-section of the country as far as the corporations.
The concept with the corporations is the CEO has to be the member. That opens a line of communications.
At $275,000 per membership, $200,000 goes straight to the neighborhood restoration. And when the USGA and the PGA Tour supported the effort by awarding championship events, the golf club's stature was restored.
The fact that they would agree to do that and allow us to tell the world the USGA has awarded the U.S. Amateur at Eastlake in 2001. Well, people said, hey, that thing must be real out there. You see what I mean? It gave us some credibility.
The Tour Championship brings tremendous exposure to Eastlake, the broadcast on ESPN and ABC to over 140 countries. Millions of people get to see a little bit more about Eastlake and what it's all about. And again, the story to tell that Mr. Cousins and the Community Foundation have to tell is a powerful one.
Once one of Atlanta's worst slums, known as Little Vietnam, Eastlake Meadows is now a complex of more than 500 townhomes comprised of mixed-income families.
So you have a welfare family on both sides, a working family, a role model. And those kids in that welfare family see the neighbors get up and go to work, see them take care of the property. Those working families, for the most part, are there because they want to help. I mean, it's not just a place to live, it's a place where they can do something good.
There's a waiting list to attend the new charter primary school where employment applications are drawn from among the top educators around the country.
Have a seat, please.
Once again, it lends to the whole issue of pride, and to see what this business community has done is just phenomenal. I mean, I can't think of any other word for it. People in the corporate world have a different way of looking at things, and I think that's where there's not the typical government bureaucracy.
It's giving the community as well as the kids a different perception of what's going on out there, and I'm glad to see they're taking some type of interest in the African American community to help us realize some dreams and goals that before now wasn't here.
Frankly, it's better than I dreamed, quicker than I dreamed. You can go from here several miles in all directions and see houses being renovated or see homes that have just been painted. You can feel the vitality in an area where there had not been a building permit issued in over 25 years.
And since the project is working so well in Atlanta, Cousins' greatest hope is that the concept catches on around the country.
Our sole purpose in wanting these major corporations was to prove to them this could be done, because we can really see this can make a real difference.
More golf means less crime in the Eastlake neighborhood. 6 years after the project's completion, the crime rate is down more than 90%. He started out driving a garbage truck. Today, he's the driving force behind some of the most powerful businesses in America. Golf Portfolio's Harry Hurt gets a driving lesson in business and maybe on the golf course when he goes head-to-head with Wayne Huizenga.
I'm the president of Horatio Alger right now, so it is a Horatio Alger story.
That's how billionaire Wayne Huizenga describes his rise from picking up rags to amassing riches.
I started with one truck, driving a garbage truck myself, and pretty soon had enough business where we had a helper, and then got two trucks, and the helper drove one, I drove the other one. We built a business from there.
Huizenga's first business grew into the largest waste collection company in the world. He then grew Blockbuster Video from 19 stores to a 3,700 store entertainment conglomerate.
We averaged opening a new video store every 17 hours. We bought the company for $32 million, and 7.5 years later, we sold it to Viacom for $8.5 billion. And so that was a nice hit for our shareholders.
Since selling Blockbuster, Huizenga has started 4 more public companies with interests ranging from cars, hotels, and sports franchises, all the way back to another garbage firm called Republic Services.
Started about 6-7 years ago, and now we're a little over $2 billion in the waste business again. Our largest company right now is AutoNation USA. We do about $21 billion a year there. Extended Stay America is just a fantastic hotel company, tremendous growth, and over 400 hotels that we own and operate.
And of course, there's the Miami Dolphins football team. But the crown jewel in Huizinga's holdings is Boca Resorts, which owns 5 luxury hotels, including the Boca Raton Resort and Club.
They have a new clubhouse under construction, 112 rooms under construction, and a new spa under construction, 40,000 square foot spa. It's spectacular, and it'll keep attracting more and more members and more visitors to this area.
Huizinga owns controlling interest in all his companies, but Boca Resorts is the only one where he holds the title CEO because it's
the fun company right now. Yeah, you can have a chance to own a property like Boca Hotel and Resort. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
One of Boca's main attractions for the 62-year-old Huizinga is golf. He's played the game on and off for 30 years, but he's only recently gotten the golf bug.
Normally, when you get older, you have less distance and you don't play as well. For me, I never had much distance. So as I get older, I'm hitting the ball farther than I ever did before. So it's great for me. As I get older, I'm getting better. So it's more fun.
Golf can be lots of fun when you own your own private course called the Floridian and lower your handicap with the help of your own private instructor.
In 3 or 4 months, I went from a 20 to a 10. When you start playing better, then you want to play more often. That's only a natural thing.
Mr. H was looking like a natural golfer and acting like a natural comedian when we met on the 10th tee at Boca's resort course.
Terrific. Well, I understand we got a new tee box here. It's never been played before. We're pioneers here. All right, so we're gonna go a $5. Is that right?
You got a deal. You got a deal.
All right, here we go. We'll play well, sir.
Are you going off the ladies' tees again?
There we go. I think
that's beautiful.
Oh, look at this. Well, that's down the middle.
Wayne kept up the good-natured ribbing as we hit our approach shots.
We get the right number there, caddy, huh? What do you think? Huh?
Oh, yeah, blame it on the caddy.
Yeah.
But Huizinga's business hasn't been all fun and games. He recently sold his Florida Panthers hockey team, and before that, the Florida Marlins. He shared the inside story of what it was like to take a drubbing from the media and the fans.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot. There's no doubt about it. From the day I got into baseball to the day I got out, I lost $100 million. So, we work 20 hours a day in our other businesses to try to make a few dollars, and you lose $100 million in 6 years in baseball. I said, I'm just not going to do this anymore.
Mr. H waxed philosophical about both his business and his golf.
You don't always make birdies. Sometimes you make bogeys, and we don't want to make those bogeys, but sometimes we do. And, but the key then is, can you come back?
I snuck one in on you, pal.
Wayne showed he could come back in style on the par 4 11th hole.
There it is. You topped me right inside. Good going, pal. That's great. Birdie on top of birdie. Now that's how golf's supposed to be played.
Mr. H's top managers unanimously praise his long-term vision.
Great shot.
He says the keys to his success are hiring first-rate people and providing first-rate customer service.
If you don't pick up the garbage when you're supposed to pick up the garbage, I guarantee you're going to lose that customer. This is going to really upset Harry.
You gonna drain it on me, pal? Attaboy.
Get in there! Get in there!
I got to give you that one, Wayne. That's well within the leather here. We can obviously see that. That was terrific. You told me you were going to make me pay, didn't you, huh?
Sorry, I walked in your line.
Oh, that's okay. I know that was unintentional.
I think I walked right here in your line is what,
you did?
What really was happening there.
Yeah, right here like this, huh? Oh, it moved the other way. Yeah, it moved a little left.
You let me off the hook, didn't you?
Who was that guy? I think he wandered on the property.
Just kind of wandered right on by.
Doesn't have any business here.
Who was that?
I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I know. Do you know Wayne Huizinga? Because I know him. I'm going to ask him who that was.
Oh, okay.
All right, good. I think we might let you take one more here to...
I forgave Mr. H's breach of etiquette after he hit a couple of foul balls on the next tee. His attention then strayed back to business.
The side advantage of being successful in a publicly held company is you have a lot of shareholders, and if you do well, then everyone makes a lot of money. And I like seeing people that I work with and play with, I like seeing them make a lot of money. That's a tough putt.
That was a tough putt.
That's
I overplayed the break.
Wayne put his money where his mouth was. After we putted out, he paid up.
Listen, fast pay makes fast friends.
Fast pay makes fast friends. All right, pal, look at this, huh? This I should frame this, huh? Right? What do you think?
Nice playing.
Hey, that was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
When it comes to business, Huizenga certainly has the Midas touch. But when it comes to a world-class golf resort, does he have the Meisner touch?
Everything we do, we follow the tradition. Right now we have 112 rooms under construction. When they're finished, it'll have the Meisner touch. We won't deviate from that.
In a state where resorts are big business, take a trip inside the crown jewel of Florida's Gold Coast, the Boca Raton Hotel and Club. Next on Golf Portfolio. The 1920s were glory years for the elegant oceanfront golf resorts on Florida's Gold Coast. Only a few still prosper. Golf Portfolio's Tom Corvin takes us on a tour of a special place that blends the best of both eras.
Ponce de Leon was the first to sail under Boca Raton's sunset, and the beauty remains the same 5 centuries later. Though the Spanish explorer did not find his fountain of youth here, age and beauty survive as though he did. Despite its 75 years, the Boca Raton Resort and Club is as fresh as the flowers that surround it, due in part to another explorer, the resort's owner, Wayne Huizenga.
We just love this property, and every year it just seems to get better.
Huizenga first rolled down the Isle of Palms in '97, and for $325 million, the resort was his. He hit the resort's golf course day one, not to play per se, but to pitch in. $6.5 million to be specific, bringing in designer Gene Bates to redo the course with more elevation, making Bob Coleman director of golf.
We want to create some sizzle out here and some memorable experiences for the golfers.
Addison Meisner had a similar dream back in 1926, but the eccentric New York architect had more than golf in mind. He bought 17,000 Boca Raton acres with a bigger vision. Professor of history, Donald Curl.
The vision was to build a resort city in Boca Raton that, as he said, would make Palm Beach look like a tar paper shack.
Modeled after a Spanish castle, Meisner called it the Cloister Inn, a $1.25 million palace by the sea, the most expensive 100-room hotel at the time, and high society loved it. Looking back is easy now, the business of navigation clear, since the bridge to the Meisner years is everywhere. The Mediterranean-laden lobby still looks like it did when the Vanderbilt signed in. The glorious cathedral dining hall is no less elegant than when Meisner dined below its Moorish archways. And the cool walkways to the courtyards still breathe the European style Meisner made his trademark. The entire resort, in fact, is homage to Meisner, down to the pool where the DuPonts once dipped. And Boca spends $10 million a year in renovations to keep the doors of tradition wide open.
In many ways, Addison Meisner defined the destination resort experience of the 20th century, and we're confident with the resort enhancements, we're poised to redefine it for the 21st.
Which brings the Boca Resort story back to golf, or learning how to play anyway. The Jack Nicklaus Jim Flick Golf School is one of 2 at Boca.
Now that's your club face position.
And it's one of America's best.
They will do individual lessons, they will do customized group lessons if you wish, or they'll go as far as doing 3-4-day golf schools for you.
Of course, the game's changed since the Meisner days, but so has the Boca Resort.
What the resort needed in 1995 was to bring golf to being a major reason why people came to this resort. It needed to be reborn, so to speak.
This your luggage right here? Excellent. I'm just going to let my captain know while I'll be escorting you.
And Boca's rebirth begins at check-in.
All right, Nick, you got something you're cutting?
While head chef James Rowe preps his staff, the rooms are readied in the elegance of old. But it's a casual elegance Boca's bathing in now, not just at the beach club, but across its 356 acres, and it's not hard to see.
We want someone to feel comfortable in a bathing suit as they are in a tuxedo, and that is the beauty of this resort.
High society is still welcome here, but so are families with teething rings. So the shops of the new Piazza were built with both in mind. And of course, the conventioneer can't play all day, so the Meisner Center was constructed, a $40 million conference center for corporations.
Stuart, how are we doing here?
And while the work's culinary rewards await, so too does the new $12 million tennis and fitness center. But Wayne Huizenga is still pitching from the sand.
Right now we have 112 rooms under construction. When they're finished, it'll have the Meisner touch.
You got enough bacon cooked for the next round?
I have a little bacon.
It's about bringing in the freshest products, and it's also about acquiring the best staff to produce those products.
Look at this.
Chef Rowe could be referring to the entire resort, but he's talking about 27 Ocean Blue, Boca's 5-star jewel.
Good evening. How are you tonight?
And like his boss, Chef Rowe serves tradition.
Ah, return guest. Great to have you back.
This is a jewel that needs to be nourished and built, and everything we do, we follow tradition.
A tradition begun by a man with a vision, a tradition still sailing for new horizons.
We want to carry Meisner's vision through, but do it in a way that this resort exceeds the expectations of our guests.
Fine living and great golf. Hallmarks of a successful resort. You're watching Golf Portfolio, the business of the game. This week on Golf Portfolio, golf's resident funny man Gary McCord is a serious success in business.
There's nobody out there that's got a better deal than me.
Florida Governor Jeb Bush chips in with his view on the business side of Florida's most important sport.
People come to retire here or semi-retire here now increasingly, and they like to live in a place where there's a beautiful golf course.
And if beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Ron Watts is seeing 2020, an exclusive look at rare photos of golf's biggest names.
We actually have glass plate negatives that nobody's ever seen before.
All this week on Golf Portfolio. This is Golf Portfolio, the business of the game. Presented by Citigroup Private Bank. For 20 years, Gary McCord tried to make a living as a professional golfer. He barely survived. It wasn't until he discovered he could make more money with his mouth than his putter that golf looked like a good career choice. Tom Corvin has the story of how McCord uses humor to help both his bank account and now his short game.
Gary McCord spent 23 years on the PGA Tour. That's 422 tournaments, more than 2 decades of constant defeat. Trapped in the headlights of bankruptcy is how he describes those lost years on the tour. Ironically, it's that kind of self-deprecation that's made Gary McCord a millionaire.
People look at you, and they look at you in all the cookie cutter, and they go, there's an idiot out there. Well, who's that guy with the thing and the mustache and the flowered shirts?
He's Gary McCord, author of Just a Range Ball and a Box of Titleists and the self-help books Golf for Dummies.
What are you laughing at? It is a good book.
He's Gary McCord, a crowd favorite at corporate dinners.
It's a damn good life. There's nobody out there that's got a better deal than me.
A deal he's had in a headlock since 1986.
I heard that pasta helps your putting stroke.
I'm going.
You sure as hell need help.
That's when CBS hired McCord for his golf cart commentary and loser humor. And he tripped into a whole new game in spite of himself.
I basically was myself. I went out there and did some stupid things, said some stupid things that weren't heard in golf in the middle 80s. What the hell did he say? And people took notice because they basically didn't like me at first. So I just kept at it.
And he kept at it until the 71st hole of the Masters in 1994.
And I said, these greens are so fast. These players are so aware of how fast they are. In fact, I don't think they mow these greens. I think they bikini wax them.
The conservative Augusta National booted McCord for his irreverence, but it's that kind of McCord story people pay to hear.
5 hours up on the air today, so.
But the headaches have been few for a guy who's made a living off of one-liners.
Peter, if he doesn't pull this off, there's going to be a lot of firewood here for the winter in Chicago.
Sergio Garcia's tree-side pitch at the PGA Championship in '99 is a prime example of McCord's wit, spontaneity, and Sunday sports metaphors.
Watch this now. Watch this. Ooh, and right there, he knows he's got his hands left. That's good. And watch the move. Good. It's a good wide out. Now turn around. Good. And catch the pass. Touchdown. I don't think it's going to work.
McCord actually started playing great golf again. In just 3 years on the Elders circuit, McCord won twice. And with a second place at September's SAS Championship in Raleigh, his senior tour earnings are just shy of $3 million. That's 5 times what McCord made during his dismal days of the PGA.
Thank you very much.
15 years of not taking himself seriously and a couple of lessons are now paying off in ways even McCord never expected.
Gary.
Of course, this is not the career McCord planned when Lawrence Welk sponsored his professional coming out party in '73. But it wasn't until he was a handlebar mustachioed, self-proclaimed loser that sponsors like FootJoy baptized McCord's loudmouth shtick as marketable.
I thought it was a good shtick. I kept going. I kept going forward with what I thought I could do, and it worked out pretty nice for me.
It's pretty hard to pull.
So nice, McCord works out in the booth during downtime.
Thank you for having me.
Promotes his CBS gig during corporate dinners.
How you doing there, big guy?
And ingratiates himself on the tour every chance he gets.
You know when you were a kid, you had all your fun things in the treehouse? That's what I got here.
Including a multifaceted career motored merely by mouth and moxie. Call it the lesson of a lippy loser. At least that's how Gary McCord sees his unlikely success.
I'm really good at rejection. So if I go try something, they say, no, you're an idiot, go away, I go away. But if you throw enough stuff against the wall, some of it's going to stick.
And Gary McCord is still sticking with anyone who'll listen.
True to form, for a man who is always on the go, the Senior PGA Media Guide lists Gary's only special interest as acceleration. Equipment retail has been their bread and butter. Now the Watts brothers are serving up nostalgia. Matt Morrison opens the album of historic golf photos.
Walking into Ronnie Watt's photo lab is like teeing off on a course in 20th century golf history. In his vault, Watts harbors more than 600,000 photo images his company now owns. Color and black and white negatives, high-speed film, even rare glass plates that date back more than a century.
These are some we just got in. They're famous English players from the 1880s, 1890s. They probably have not been seen in over 100 years.
Historic Golf Photos is much more than a side business for the co-founders of Edwin Watts Golf Shops. It's a passionate pursuit with purpose and epic significance.
I mean, they've got the history of golf in America and even the world, and most people have never seen these. In fact, you can't see these. It'd take years for me to go back there and see them. There's so many of them, and they're unbelievable, phenomenal collection, and I think the public's going to really love seeing those.
The collection features the work of 9 artists, including renowned lensman Chuck Brinkus and Morgan Fitz. But by far the prize of this assortment is the work of Frank Christian, the longtime official photographer at Augusta National. More than 350,000 images were contributed by 4 generations of the Christian family.
What's really amazing about it is, like, if masters say in the 30s and 40s and 50s, there were, there was only like 3 or 4 people taking shots. And some of those years, only one guy was taking shots. So to have all those negatives from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, it's irreplaceable.
Another key acquisition was the hiring of chief photographer Philip Holly, who worked with Christian for 18 years.
So he knows all these negatives, he knows how to print them, how not to print them, and stuff like that. Plus he's got good eye. See, I'm colorblind, so it doesn't work too good.
I've never really thought of myself as a historian, but I tell you what, just by osmosis alone, it's incredible to walk in here every day, and for Ronnie and our head photographer to find something new that no one has ever seen before. That's just well worth it right there. It's just like, it's fun to come into work.
West Coast photographer Chuck Brinkus